Customer service, done right, can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join customer service authority and best-selling author John DeJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industries. This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you're a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you.
Welcome, revolutionaries, to episode 139 of the Customer Service Revolution podcast. I am John DeJulius, Chief Revolution Officer of the DeJulius Group. The DeJulius Group's purpose is to change the world by creating a customer service revolution. Today's episode is brought to you by the Customer Experience Executive Academy, CXEA. CXEA is like a master's degree in customer experience. It is a 12-month part-time intense program where students have to come in, executives have to come to Cleveland 3 days every quarter and attend virtual calls in between. The next class starts January 2024. If you want to make the experience your brand delivers your single biggest competitive advantage and make price irrelevant, then register today for CXEA. Visit cxea.org today. On today's episode, I am talking to the legendary Tom Smith. In my 3 decades of researching and consulting on customer experience, all the companies and people I have worked with and personally experienced, I have come across a lot of amazing human beings who consistently deliver an incredible customer experience. However, if I had to pick a Mount Rushmore of the 4 best, Tom Smith would be on it. Tom was born to serve, born to be a daymaker. Now, before we get into the interview with Tom, let's talk about what's going on. And my question today is, has tipflation reached a tipping point? Right? Not only, we've all experienced, not only has the average tipping percentage increased dramatically since the pandemic, but who we tip has expanded. It appears every person in business are requesting and expecting tips these days. It doesn't matter if you are picking up a to-go order, a cashier just ringing on an item you just selected. The employee spins the iPad around asking us how much we'd like to tip, and then watches what we decide. Customers feel pressured not only to tip, but to tip well. With the employee standing there watching, this is known as guilt tipping. Tipflation and tip creep are terms to describe the recent widespread expansion of gratuity to more industries as opposed to being traditionally only prevalent in full service and hospitality industries. What is really frustrating is how businesses are trying to put the burden of their customers on their customers to make employees make a livable wage. We no longer reward excellent service with a generous tip. The increase is asking customers to tip is causing a poor customer experience in so many brands. Now get this, this is even worse. DoorDash now warns customers that if they don't tip, their deliveries may take longer, right? DoorDash is working the guilt tipping movement. Recently, DoorDash has started sending out an alert to their customers who choose not to tip that says orders with no tip might take longer to get delivered. Are you sure you want to continue? Are you sure you want to continue? The app also shares this alert to customers that reads, Dashers can pick and choose which orders they want to do, says the alert, which refers to its delivery drivers as Dashers. The alert continues. Orders that take longer to be accepted by Dashers tend to result in slower delivery. One DoorDash driver shared with Business Insider that his earnings had plummeted over the past 5 years and that the DoorDash pressuring customers to tip has not helped his earnings. Since the announcement of the no tip warning, he's noticed a drop in tips. He says, it's pretty crappy that they're turning on us, he said of DoorDash. I do feel like the customer should tip us better, but at the same time, DoorDash should be paying us better. Early in the year, DoorDash started sending messages encouraging their customers about tipping their drivers more. These messages told the customers that they could increase their tips for 30 days after the delivery. So what does that mean? How do you feel about it? Well, what that means to me is that I'm jumping on the tipping bandwagon. Everyone's doing it. So at the end of this podcast, you're going to receive a notification that says, if you enjoyed it, you could tip me 15, 20, 25%. I want my share. All right. We'll be right back with our interview with Tom Smith after this.
If you enjoy what you're learning on the Customer Service Revolution podcast, you'll love our weekly newsletter, The E-Service. It's full of great customer experience tips and stories, includes special offers, webinars, and more each week. To sign up, head to tdg.click/e-service. That's tdg.click/e-service. ESERVICE. Enter your preferred email address, and you can look forward to great advice from John in your inbox every Wednesday.
Welcome back, revolutionaries. And today, on today's episode, is Tom Smith. In my 3 decades of researching and consulting on world-class customer experience organizations, all the companies I've worked with and personally experienced, I have come across a lot of amazing human beings who consistently deliver an amazing customer experience. However, if I had to pick the Mount Rushmore of the 4 best, Tom Smith would easily be on mine. Tom was born to serve, born to be a daymaker. Welcome, Tom.
Oh, I'm so glad to be on with you, John. And I appreciate all those compliments. I'll hit you with some Venmo.
Yeah. No, Tom, we go back, I think, around 2004 when I first got hired to speak at Nemacolin. I remember you were in the audience. You were a manager there. And for those of you who don't know, Nemacolin is a resort, beautiful resort in Farmington, PA. How do you describe Farmington, PA? Middle of PA? What is that?
Yeah, I'd say the southwest corner of Pennsylvania in the mountains in just an idyllic setting.
Yeah. So I spoke, and you guys were just opening Falling Rock, a hotel on the property. You were going to be the GM, and your goal was to make it a 5-diamond property, which you easily succeeded. So that's where we met. And just some, crazy, just amazing experiences that I'll share. But it was so cool. So Tom, tell our listeners first how you got into hospitality business.
I got into it. I was in the military, got out of the military. I was in the U.S. Army, got out of the Army, and then went to school for business in Pittsburgh, specifically sport management. A lot of my classmates went the pro sports side. I tried that for a little bit with an internship and things like that. But I saw that there was a need in...
I thought you meant like as a pro player, because you're a hell of a baseball player.
Yeah, this was more on most people get into pro sports on sales. So they're selling tickets and selling experiences. And I just didn't see the impact there. I couldn't really make a difference. Went to a conference in Mohawk, New York, and they were filming the movie Road to Wellville at this. It was about the Kellogg family. So I did some interviews there, got into hospitality, and just loved it. And always... Was it always in your genes? I mean, thinking military, does military do anything for hospitality, or is it, in a way? They actually do. Yeah, they actually do. There are hotels all over the country that U.S. Service members can stay. And the military actually does it, pretty well in that regard. So that was a little bit of the a little bit of I guess, the seed that started it all for me.
All right. And so then you eventually got to Nemacolin, which, is basically almost 20 years for you. And, Tom, one of my early visits with my family, as you remember, people would tell me or ask me all the time, they say, you travel so much, you speak all over the world. What's your favorite place? And I'd say Nemacolin. And you got, and listen, there's places as pretty and they have everything there, but it was the experience. And so I once asked you, I wrote about this in my second book, What's the Secret? I said, Tom, what's your title here? Because, they always were moving you to different parts that needed, you and your touch. And you said, your best friend. But you took that seriously. It wasn't a joke. So explain that, what you meant by that, because I wrote about that in What's the Secret about that.
I think it's important for the people that are staying at your resort, how you make them feel. You want them to be seen, you want them to be connected. And I always tried to learn a little bit about people. And I remember still, you had it at the time a love for Oreo cookies, and we would wear out the Oreo cookies on you. I just think that's the cool part of it, is trying to be, you're not going to truly know all of the reasons why people are coming to visit where you're working or what hotel you run or what business you run. If you find a little bit about them, I think it makes it seem like, yeah, I do have a best friend here. If something would come up, they will take care of me, and they do know who I am. And that makes it more, one size fits one, as Will from the author of Unreasonable Hospitality talks about. It's not all about just a great check-in, a great arrival, great dining, all those things. Most places should be able to do that with ease these days, but it's about making it personal and feeling a connection. And then for me, learning about you, your family, all the stories that you shared with me, I felt like you were my best friend too, because when I would have a question, I could reach out to you. I remember when you were on a deadline for your third book, I think it was, and you wrote some of that at Nemacolin. I just think that's what makes a connection, and that's what makes somebody your best friend and somebody that really cares about you.
No, I mean, you're barely scratching the surface of, like, I remember one time me and my wife, Stacy, checked in, and you were there greeting us, and what's the occasion? And I'm just about to say, just a weekend getaway without the kids, and she's like, it's our anniversary, and like my face went like, like crap. And I didn't even ask you, and there was, you said the room wasn't ready, and there was rose petals, and you made me look like a champion. And I mean, that's just the stuff you do. Another time I brought Johnny for his 13th birthday. Damn, he's 31 now. I brought him for his 13th birthday, a bunch of buddies. And again, like, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these guys. Just, and there it is on like a Saturday night, like 8 p.m. You're, making a fire. And I think, I don't know what you have, but you did something that I had no idea. And, it wasn't the fact, I assumed you'd have it done. No, I shouldn't say I assumed you have it done. It wouldn't have surprised me, you having stuff done, but that you were there yourself doing it, and you were a GM, you were, one of the top people. Just, I mean, that's, you were my best friend. It was like, if I want a great experience, if I don't want to impress my family or clients, I'm going to send them to Nemacolin, bring them or send them. But and they'd always call me up, because I'd hook them up with you, and they'd say, I owe you, and that's the best feeling to have, is just people so appreciative. And that's what I always got with you.
Yeah, that was what makes it fun. When you really connect and are at the top of your game at the best places out there, it's an addictive feeling, making someone feel great or getting that call. You'd always know, taking care of someone that you sent, in the back of your mind, if I knock this out, I'm going to get a call from John this week, and he's going to be so happy. I'm going to make him feel good. And that's really what drives me personally, is all those connections and all the people that still call and still, I still have great relationships with. And it was funny at Nemacolin, there'd be kids coming up and saying, "Oh, Tom, you remember you taught me how to snowboard, you taught me how to ski," and all. And it makes you feel old, but it also really, a lot of things that we preach is lifelong sports. We teach lifelong sports at resorts, and you're teaching something that someone in their life is going to do for the rest of their life. And that is beyond cool to me.
Right. Right. Well, wasn't even thinking about going here, but I will. You were kind enough, you, Dennis Noonan, our good friend, and Tommy DeWitt, all from Nemacolin at the time, came to my wife Stacy's wake, and which was great. But one of the things that stands out is when I saw you, I said, look around, like all the pictures on the wall, so many were from Nemacolin, and those are lifelong memories. Those moments, and it was you, and it was you, and it was your team that provided those, and are still some of the best memories ever. But so listen, you're obsessed. How you've worked in management in Nemacolin's, when they were fully staffed, how many team members would they have, associates?
1,200.
Yeah. And listen, you weren't touching all the guests. You couldn't. You were probably touching less than, 5% of them, right? So it was, how did you get people to do it? Because we could say, all right, yeah, it'd be great if I can get Tom Smith, but there's not that many Tom Smith. How did you make it where it was, how did you remove what I like to call employee roulette, right? Where it's, if you get Tom, oh, you're gonna have a great experience. But if you don't get Tom, oh man, I'm gonna hold my breath and hope you're still happy.
Yeah, a lot of it is just the development. A lot of the things that you taught us too is we did huddles religiously, and pre-meals and pre-shifts and pre-events and post-events. So a lot of the times when you start adding up how much time you spend developing team members, so you take, you meet at 8:30 in the morning and you'll go through 20 minutes and who's coming
It's
to
like a pre-shift huddle, right?
Yeah, pre-shift huddles, and then after event huddles before the event, before the arrival time, usually around 4:00. And we would have photos. We developed it, through the years, but it really broke down to Jeff Kimmick and his philosophy of who are they and why are they here? We would really focus on who's coming, why are they coming? And it could be great things, could be like your anniversary when you came, or it could be, a funeral. And as we did the video together, Own Every Moment, you really never know. If you remember that video, there was a man checking in and he's missing his son's debut as a starting quarterback. Yeah. And then the indulgence agent, she just found out she's pregnant. And then the lady so you really have to connect with the why and the empathy. Mr. Hardy always taught us about empathy and being sure why people are here and what they're all about. And then I think when the associates know the why behind it, it really takes on that, like I said, that addictiveness of making people feel great and feel connected. And once an associate does it, they want to do it again. And then they want to do it another time.
I call it the daymaker dopamine, right?
Yes.
And it's like, if I was on my A game and I made your day today, and you might not even know came from me, right? Left something in your room, whatever. Saw that you like you said, double stuffed Oreos, left your bag, but you don't know who put that in there. But at the end of the day, the daymaker feels the best, right? Because I was allowed to do that. You go home and you tell your spouse, guess what I did today? And your spouse says, I would have gotten fired for doing that. I'm like, I would have gotten fired if I didn't do that, right? I mean, that's the culture you made, and that was so unique there.
Yeah, and we didn't always hit it out of the park. Sometimes the where I would work, it wasn't the right fit. But a lot of the things that we talked about over the years, and you even discussed numerous times, is some people don't like the product, and they I've had people say I'll never come back here. And when we would reach out, we would send them an invite to someplace else that we thought we would like, and oftentimes that works out in your favor because they can't believe, oh my God, you're sending me where?
Yeah.
No, if this place would do that for me, maybe they do deserve a second chance, And we've had that even now here in Wilson. We opened up a boutique hotel, has 16 rooms. And early on, we had a lot of challenges with just the physical structure. It's built in a 100-year-old building, and some of the AC was messed up. And so we missed a couple of times until we got it fixed. And we went out of our way for those people that were, inconvenienced, and we did crazy stuff. And I think people remembered that. And we had 3 people that had some, challenging times. They've all been back, and we've been able to turn it around. So it really is a gift when you miss, when an associate or the team, when we all miss on something, we talk about it and we make it better.
And you brought up something really that was an epiphany even for me when I was working with you guys with the day in the life of the customer video, which you guys call Own Every Moment, which is your customer experience action statement. But we deal with all types of businesses, and the thing I say that most businesses have in common, and it's a struggle in a way, is that their customer facing employee. Right. In your case, it could be the valet, it could be the front desk, it could be the bellman, right? Are typically not the customer, right? Age, quality of life, income, all those things, and you guys had it where when, the 21-year-old kid parking the car at Falling Rock, Nemacolin, has never stayed at thing, maybe a Red Roof Inn. I mean, just that's the nature of who we are at 21, and he doesn't get. But the additional challenge you had that a lot of other businesses don't have is you're working in a place that charges $600 to $1,200 a night easily for a room, and most of the people coming there have it. Right. They're pulling up in their Maseratis and Lamborghinis and all that. But you could almost get a chip on your shoulder and feel like, oh, here they are blowing, $4,000 or $5,000 for the weekend, eating at the Five Diamond restaurant, getting spa services. But that's why that video was so important, because, she could be going through cancer. She could have just found out this. They're not, while they're going there for an escape, and they got the same amount of problems, if not more than everyone else. And so it was really important that you, Tom Smith, made sure they understood that, listen, everyone's not just coming here and living their best life, so to speak.
Yeah. Some people, they come to Wilson. I mean, they save up for months at a time to come. This past weekend, we had a few families that were here for a wake. And so, it's not always the celebrations, but our team there, we have one person, she was able to find out, person that passed away, what they like to drink. And so we also found out that his birthday will be coming up. So it's pretty amazing when we talk, we teach, and we train, and we develop, and we show your videos. And I always send you texts of us going through your videos, and Johnny and crying Ryan. Oh, hilarious. But one of our associates found out what the person that passed away birthday, what they like to drink. And so in a couple of weeks that there'll be a little gift going to the family. So it's just cool when everything that you're doing from a development standpoint, when you see associates get it, and it just becomes contagious in your organization. Yeah. Your culture is driven so much around the experience of guests. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny. You made me think of this. This is where I thought you were going. So we work with funeral homes, right? And, I call Nemacolin a Five Diamond resort or Wilson, it is a pleasure buy typically, right? It's something you want to do.
Right.
Having a flat tire or needing to call a funeral home, those are grudge buys. Those aren't things we necessarily want to do, which adds its own complexity, right? Every business has complexity. But something that one of these great funeral homes do is they find out what you drank, and then in your casket, the bottle's there. Yeah, like wow. Johnny Walker Blue or something. Yeah. So that's where I thought you were going with it. But all right, so you're no longer with Nemacolin. Now you move to the big city. Wilson. So tell us about your new job and new company.
It's pretty amazing. But when I first heard about it, Jeff gave me a call and said, "Hey, there's something going on down here." And I came down to see it. I couldn't get my head around it. What
so where are you? Where's it at?
It's Wilson, Arkansas. So it's in the former agricultural empire of our country. So this region is really known for farming. So it's named after Lee Wilson. He came here when he was a really young man and cleared all the trees and realized that the terrain is great for growing anything. It's just a couple of miles from the Mississippi River. And he started just an agricultural empire. And then it went through 5 different generations and including a transformation of the architecture of the town, which still to this day is just breathtaking. He went on to one of the Wilsons, Roy Wilson, went on his honeymoon, and he fell in love with the English Tudor architecture. So every building in town, the bank, the post office, what's now the hotel, the cafe, all has this English Tudor architecture to it.
This is it's called the city is Wilson.
Yeah, city of Wilson.
City of Wilson,
Arkansas, named after the Wilson family. So 5 generations. Apparently, the fifth generation wasn't as interested in continuing the farming and sold most of the acres and a lot of the commercial assets to the current owner. And so he grew up in the Delta region, as it's called, and he's committed, along with his whole family, to really making this sort of a model of how to bring small town back. And I fell in love with it. There was a hotel that was trying to be opened, and we were able to finish that off. So we have a hotel here now. It's almost like a Hallmark movie or a Norman Rockwell painting. It's very hard to describe, but
what is your position, Tom?
Yeah, so my position is I'm your best friend as always, but senior vice president. So I work directly with the CEO of Wilson, and then there's actually a mayor of the town and everything.
So you're working with the city.
Yeah.
So you're not working at a property.
It's really a property within a city, and there's nothing like it. Sort of think of Carmel, California, if anyone's ever been out there.
Yeah.
How it's a destination within a great town. So we look to Carmel. I was stationed out there in the Army. Look to that, to how they've done things as an inspiration tremendously. So we started an artist in residence program. So we work with the Dixon in Memphis. We bring in artists. We teach art classes to the guests of the hotel, and also guests in the region, guests of the community come up for the day. One of the first things that happened was a private school was built. So brought in a lady there was an Ivy League educated woman, and she put a curriculum together. And that private school is very cool, very hands-on. So that immediately established as this Wilson is a great place to learn. And now the interesting thing that's happening is this area, this region is the largest steel producing region in our country. So U.S. Steel bought what's called Big River Steel, and they're making steel in a new way. So it's all with electric, and they are cranking it out, especially in electric car vehicles they sell the steel for. So the region is really flipped, and I saw it as an opportunity with a strong business base here. It's a great state. Love the state of Arkansas. It's the only state you can actually mine for diamonds, John, in a state park. And a couple months ago, someone found a 4-carat diamond. But it's just fascinating, really. So we're really putting together sort of a resort within a town, if you'd say. We have a hotel, we have a golf course that we opened up, we have a field club that we opened up for shooting.
You're managing kind of the overall experience for the whole town.
Yeah, for the whole town.
That's cool.
As a destination.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So you're getting this because you've been in multiple companies. Now you're doing it for an entire community. For our listeners, if they want to transform their organization into more than just lip service of customer experience, where's the first place you start when someone hires you to lead? What do you think the first 2 things are that you need to do?
The first thing you need, obviously, is to listen, and then just do a people assessment. Find out the people that you have, and meet with them, and continue to meet with them. Ask how I can do better for them. Right now, I work for 78 people in Wilson on our team. Provide them all the tools, remove any type of obstacles that are in their way to providing a great experience for guests to be seen, connected. And
now, are these companies you're working with, they're independent? They're not part of the city. I mean, are they independent owners of a business in the city? A
little bit. Tom Beckby is an awesome retailer, and they're in our town. White's Mercantile is actually Hank Williams' daughter, Holly. She has a mercantile store that there's several of them in Nashville. And then we have the one what do you call franchise that is here in Wilson. We own both restaurants. We own the golf course. We
Okay.
have the hotel. So it's mostly us, but there's a great fresh market here we work with at Guns. So that's what we're doing, really building up this community in this town to be a great place to live, work, play, invest. And
Visit, right? Visit, tourist, tourist.
Yeah, we have. I mean, it was crazy. We opened up in May, the soft opening. We were sold out for about 7 days. We hadn't even really marketed it much. We still really haven't outside of word of mouth. But yeah, it's a great region for hunting. So a lot of hunters that are coming in, especially from now through December, January. People say sort of middle of nowhere, but it's only 30 minutes from Memphis, 40 minutes to Memphis. Oxford, Mississippi's two hours away. My son's in New Orleans. That's about 6 hours. So regionally, it's nice. St. Louis is a few hours away. And just the setting itself is what I really love. It's peaceful.
What's one of the coolest things about Wilson?
One of the coolest things is all the people. I just think we see it over and over and over again in all of our medallion surveys and all of the feedback is just the workforce and our team. They're eager to serve. We are teaching them and developing them. But I think that's the coolest thing. And people love talking about the history of the town. When you're staying in a building that's over 100 years old, our theater.
What's the Blue Zone?
The Blue Zone is pretty awesome. So there are a lot of people. There was just a gentleman in town who's over 100 years old. And so we're trying to, it's a show on Netflix that really sort of why do people live so long in certain regions of the country? And so we're working with them right now on that designation, but it has a lot to do with the menu, the diet, and just being active. The people in the community are very active. You'll see them walking all over the place. So we're making a concentrated effort to put in a trail system here within Wilson and really contribute to that Blue Zone mentality.
That's great. That's great. All right. So I think I might cut you off, but if someone's listening and they want to transform their experience, revolutionize their customer experience, one of the things you said was, meet with the people. What are you looking for, Tom? If I'm an existing employee and you're coming in and we don't have history, what are you judging me on to see if I'm a right fit or somewhere else may be better for me?
It's really just the smile. If someone has a smile and great eye contact, I can teach everything else they need to know.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Great eye contact and a smile, and I can teach anyone really can teach anything.
You can teach them the menu. You could teach them how to, ring up, make an appointment.
A white coaster means an existing guest. A blue one, that's a first timer.
I love that. I love that. That's great. That's great. All right. So some of your coolest things I want to ask about, I'll put them in my order that I think is your top three on your resume. Your son, Brody, who is in Tulane University. What's his major?
Whatever. It seems like it's music. He's a business major.
All right. Great. And then your next one, you got kicked off of the show by Steve Harvey. What's that about?
It was funny. It was a Christmas party, and everyone it was Family Feud, and so everybody expected Steve Harvey to be there, and I went on stage sort of as the opener, and when I was announced, it was sort of a groan in the room. Played that off, and then actually started the feud game. And Steve came up on stage, was able to meet him. What a great guy.
Yeah.
And he told me to get the hell off the stage, and he led the Family Feud for the Christmas party. But that was awesome. He's a huge man too, by the way. He's a tall drink of water.
Yeah. And you were on The Bachelor.
Yeah, for about.
Are you betting casting for the what is it, the Golden Bachelor?
Yeah, I saw that come out. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Tell us about your appearance on The Bachelor.
It was for about a set. It was funny. We at Nemacolin, we hosted a full season of The Bachelor, the Matt James season, and we had a number of different. It was in the middle of COVID, so we had a number of different settings, and we thought we had the best one. It was a fall fair, and I mean, it took us 3 days, I believe, to get everything set. And then it was about 20 seconds, the full clip, and you can see the back of my head in one shot. So I said I was on The Bachelor.
Well, they may be calling you back. They may be calling you back.
It might.
I'm gonna for our listeners, I'm gonna put the Wilson, Arkansas site in the show notes. And I think you're a great follow on LinkedIn. So I'm gonna show. I have you put that in there, Tom Smith on LinkedIn. But I noticed something different. At least I've never noticed. I love reading your LinkedIn posts, and they're educational, they're motivational. They're what is that something you consciously have evolved to? I really like following you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I've always liked writing. I used to write about sports growing up, and I had a teacher in fourth grade, Mrs. Ryder, and she always it was right around the time my father passed away, and she always told me that I was a good writer, and I wasn't good at much in school. I always thought I was good at that, and so I've always tried to make a conscious effort to share something. I think it's important. Oftentimes you worry so much about what people think about what you write and all. Are you getting everything spelled right and all that stuff? Sometimes you just write it on there and hit publish.
Yeah.
It's really for me, to look back and almost a journal of sorts, as it is for other people. Sometimes I think we have a lot of knowledge, as old as we are now. And I think someone coming up might be able to look at that and maybe it helps them. Like, you helped me opening up a hotel that we opened in 9 months and immediately took it to being actually the best service hotel in the world. Still is, thanks to Corey Young and his team at Falling Rock now. But you believe in somebody, or you share something, and somebody might need that in their day. I think that's really what it's about.
Yeah. No, I love that. And so, is there any topic that you're following when you're writing on LinkedIn, or because I really find them inspiring.
Yeah, I just focus right now on slow travel. A lot of people are getting out of the go to a resort and do 18 different things. We're finding a lot of people want to just unplug and come to a place that is small. You get to know the town people. You get to know what the village was about. You get to, it's really wild. During the Depression, the Wilson family, they came up with sort of their own Bitcoin. So you worked for them, you got this, you got to come to the town store and spend it. They were able to get through tough times by staying together. And I think, I always just try to write about community and overcoming everything.
It sounds like, Tom, you have worked for at least 2 amazing families.
Yeah,
right?
and 3 actually. Tuffy Schellenberger, I worked with him when Maggie and I broke up one time at Nemacolin. I went to work for Tuffy running.
Maggie is Maggie Hardy, the daughter of Joe Hardy, who's the founder of both Nemacolin and
84 Lumber, right?
84 Lumber that Maggie took over. Yeah.
I worked for Tuffy. He owns the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, a pro soccer team in Pittsburgh. So I learned a lot from all those people, and it never goes away. You meet people like yourself, and just cool. Life is amazing.
Well, Tom, so for anyone looking to earn their title as, someone's best friend in hospitality, and when I say in hospitality, I don't care if you're a consultant, an accountant, we all should be in the hospitality business that also just offers, really good financial services or whatever we're doing. What's your advice for them?
Well, it's Ford. You taught me about Ford. You got to listen. And I think everything else you can base from there. If you listen, get a little bit of Ford action going for you, and then use it, you'll crush it. That's it. I mean, it's not real hard. You just need to listen.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. We've been trying to get this set up for what seems like a few years, but I really wanted, John, like I said, there's very few people that have taught me as much about authentic customer experience as you. So I really appreciate having you on the podcast.
It was great, John. I appreciate it. I'll be following you, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Revolutionaries, for joining me for another episode of the Customer Service Revolution podcast. We will see you next week. All right. As we do now, I want to end this episode 139 with how to live an extraordinary life so countless others do. Something that I've been a fan of, and I'm not sure where I picked it up, but I'm certainly not the inventor, is a word of the year, right? So, for as long as I can remember now, I have focused on a word of the year, and I advertise that word to myself the entire year. So past words was, energy. Love the word energy, right? And that was my word one year, and I advertised and really tried to do a conscious effort on what type of energy am I bringing to a conversation, to a relationship, to a meeting, to an interaction, right? And so that was really important. Another word, I've loved all my words of the year, was encourage. I think I've talked about this on a previous podcast, but encourage, the Latin translation is to make others strong, right? To put courage in others. Encourage. Love that. One of my favorites. This past year, 2023, was curiosity. And what I meant by curiosity isn't so much of, being curious just to learn more for the sake of learning, like going to learn a new language. Curiosity more for me was in all walks of life. If I don't agree with someone, right? Don't defend my ideas, explore new ones. Listen like you're wrong. Why is a family member mad at me? Why are we disagreeing? Even, if we're all agreeing, maybe I should be arguing with people that agree with me, right? So being curious, trying to find why other people think the way they do instead of being judgmental. So here I'm going to announce my word of the year for 2024, and it is opportunity. Now, it's probably not what you think. It's not necessarily about finding new opportunities, new revenue streams, it's more of looking at adversity and things along those lines, failure, and finding the opportunity in them. Okay, so let's say we lose a large client, a consulting client. All right. While that sucks, there's an opportunity there. What did we do? What did we do to lose that client? What did we do that we didn't re-sign them? That if we explore that opportunity instead of just saying woe is us or woe is me, we can reduce or eliminate that from happening. Opportunity in all walks of life, a struggling or failed relationship, a flat tire, whatever that may be, is what is the opportunity? Losing my temper, right? What's the opportunity there? And trying to find out how you can make it better and reduce it from going forward. So if you have a word of the year, I'd love to know it. Send me in the comments, leave what your word of the year, and if there's any context that's needed. So I want to thank you, Revolutionaries, for joining me for another episode of the Customer Service Revolution podcast. I will see you next week.